Hello there, and welcome back to the Chap's Guide. My name is Ash, and I am your host on this journey through men's style, self-development, and personal grooming. Now, welcome to my office, where you'll often find me editing my videos and, undertaking the work that I do on a daily basis. Now, if you watch my videos regularly, you will hear me talking about journaling as something which I do very regularly to aid my own personal development. And you may well ask, why is it in this modern world where we've got things like, applications for our phones, voice memos, all things like that, why would anybody do journaling? What's the value of it in the modern world? Well, I've been a strong advocate of journaling for maybe a decade or more. And like you, I probably was a little bit reluctant. I thought it's a bygone era. I used to keep a diary when I was a younger person, but as life went on, I steered away from that. But when I came back to journaling, I really found a great deal of value from it. In my private life, yes, to help me, structure my life and get the things done that I need to, but very much in my professional life as well. So today, I'm going to give you my top 6 tips why I think journaling is something that you should consider doing to bring some structure into your life. And this is very much part of my top 10 habits that will improve your life series, because journaling has worked for me for a long time. So let me give you some advice. Now, the first reason why I think journaling is such a valuable addition to your life planning is to keep notes. Now, you might think it's the most obvious thing, and of course it is. The journal, the book where you write things down, it's always within arm's reach for me most of the time. And I know what you're thinking. Why would I need to bother? Because I'll just text myself something, put it into the notes section on my mobile phone, or I'll do a voice memo. But it's never the same, is it? When you write something down using a pen on paper, there is a physical, mechanical connection between your brain and the paper. For some reason, I find it entirely different when I type notes into a computer or make a voice memo. There is something about writing onto a sheet of paper with a pen which unlocks a level of creativity in my mind and allows me to flow and to get that information down. And when you're writing it on paper, there is some crafting taking place. You're writing in your own hand something which has a sense of permanence because you've written it on paper. Really different to capturing that information in any other way. And there's another side effect of taking notes regularly as well, and that is you maintain and improve your handwriting. Because, we're living in a world now where we rarely write things. So when the time comes that you wish to write a letter or a card or communicate a message to somebody using the medium of handwriting, if you don't handwrite things very often, you're going to lose that skill. Your handwriting will be poor. But by taking notes regularly in my journal, I maintain a good standard of cursive handwriting, and I make use of it when I need to communicate with people in that way. Now, the second reason why I think that keeping a journal is useful for you, and that is it is magnificent at allowing you to prioritize your tasks for the day. And, depending what system you use, it allows you to get your activities planned in advance, and you can rank them in order of importance. Now, for about a year or so, I've been using the circle system, which is a really straightforward but really effective system, which was created by a chap called Sigurdur Armansson. Now, he's an Icelandic designer, and you might think it doesn't take a lot of design to create this system, which allows you to set your priorities, set the important priorities, and then cross them off as you go throughout the day. But the circle system, as I say, been using it for a year, and I find it a great way of ranking my activities, affording them the priority that they require, and then allowing me to keep track of what I'm doing, what priorities I've achieved. It really helps in goal setting and goal achieving throughout the day, and it's the matter of seconds when you're writing these things down, when you're setting out your tasks for the day. Now, my reason number 3 is that it allows you to plan your time in advance. Typically, I prepare my journal or my goals and priorities for the day ahead the night before. So when I finish the working day, at the end of today, I will look ahead, see what I need to do tomorrow, and write that in my journal using the circle system of prioritization to allow me to set those goals that I need to achieve tomorrow. At the very worst, I tend to do it first thing in the day before I start my activity. That way, I've ranked my priorities, I know what I've got to do, and I know which goals I have to apportion the right amount of time to. It's no good spending all your time on something which is actually quite a minor target for the day, when your big target, you don't really invest the time that it needs. But when you plan things out in a journal, it really does put things straight in your mind and allows you to set the time limits that you need to put on the goals that lie ahead each day. Now, the 4th reason why I suggest keeping a journal is it really does help in keeping track of your progress on things. And a really good way that I use it is in my health journal. So I have a journal which I keep to one side, which is basically just for health purposes. And in here, I keep track of my diet, so the things that I eat, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and the activities that I undertake each day. So I use an app on my phone to track the number of steps I take, and I also monitor the exercise I take. So I go running a couple of times a week, I might go out on my mountain bike a couple of times a week. And by keeping track of it in my journal, and I have a section for comments as well, so it allows me to keep track of things like, how I'm feeling, my mental health, my physical health. It keeps me accountable for my activities. If I've skipped exercise today, I know I've got to write that down in my health journal. And I'm going to feel bad because I haven't achieved that progress that I'd set myself as a target. So having the ability to keep progress, if you use the circle method of prioritization, you colour the circles in when you've achieved that goal, it keeps you very much accountable for your actions. And it's very useful then in giving you inspiration and motivation to go on and achieve better the next time. Because particularly if you're taking exercise, if you go for a 4-mile run this week, next week you think, okay, I'm going to step it up to 4.5 miles. And that way you track your progress, and the journal is a nice easy way to look back, see what you're doing, be inspired by your progress, and push to ever greater targets in the future. Now, my tip number 5 for the reasons why I maintain a journal is those all-important to-do lists, all right? Because they, as well as shaping your day by planning out what you're going to do, they give you an incredible sense of accomplishment when you tick them off, or when you colour the little circles in my case, because you've done something positive. You've achieved a goal that you've set, and then you can add something else at the bottom. But by maintaining that to-do list and the sense of success that you get when you've achieved it, that alone is worth maintaining those little to-do lists, as well as managing your priorities in a very effective way. But there's nothing like reaching the end of the day, looking at your journal, and seeing that you've achieved all of those goals. You've been for the run, you've done for the work, you've spoken to your mother on the phone, you've written that birthday card to your cousin, sent it off. You haven't missed anything because you've kept track of it by that all-important to-do list. Now, my final reason why I keep a journal is it helps me to maintain a sense of perspective in life. Because as we go through life, life is a series of peaks and troughs. It always has been, and it always will be. Some weeks you're on a high, the next weeks you're at the lowest of the low. And, you go from one jolt to the other. But the journal helps maintain a sense of perspective, because in my journal I keep a record of the things I do, how I feel, I capture my emotions, I capture my activities, I capture the triggers that make me feel a little bit down sometimes and make me feel elated. So in the future, when I'm facing a difficult patch in my life, maybe I'm in a bit of a trough, I can look back to the last time I was in a trough and think to myself, okay, well, I tell you what caused that last trough. You know, I had a bad experience in work, or I was a little bit ill and I couldn't take exercise for a while. I can look at the things that caused the trigger and then do what I need to do to make sure those triggers are not causing the problem right now. I can use my past experiences captured in my journal to make my present life and my future life a better place to live. Even professionally, you know, if you're facing a big challenge in the workplace and you're sat there looking up at this thing and you think, this is going to be like climbing Mount Everest. Where do I begin? Well, I can guarantee you've climbed that Mount Everest at some point in the past. So you can look back in your journal and say to yourself, okay, well, I did it then, I can do it now. It really helps to maintain that sense of perspective. And I use it all the time. Very helpful when it comes to managing your mental health if you're prone to have highs and lows, because you can look at those triggers and remove them from your current situation, so that, you know, your return to buoyant mental health will be all that swifter. So there we go. Those were my 6 tips why I think a journal is the way to go. And as I say, there's always 1 or 2 journals on my desk. Don't forget, you don't have to have just one. I have one which I use exclusively for YouTube, where I capture my notes. And then I have a health journal, which I tend to do for the majority of my normal life. This is very valuable to me. I look back on it, I make adjustments to my current actions based on what I've done in the past. Of course, life is a learning experience, and the journal just really helps in that journey. Now, these have just been my top 6 tips. There are many more out there, and I'm sure you will find your own passage when it comes to using a journal to improve your life. But please, at least think about it. It's becoming a bit of a revolution. It's becoming something that many more people are incorporating into their lives, and they're finding it a useful addition and a useful investment of your time. It really has for me. I was skeptical, but now I'm never going to be without a journal in my future life, and I suggest you can give it a thought too. So if you've enjoyed this video, of course, I'd be delighted if you would give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more content like this, particularly in my top 10 series, or my top 10 habits to improve your life series, in which journaling is just one of my entries, please click that red button and subscribe. And if you'd like to practically support the channel and help me to continue making content like this, you can buy me a coffee. And you will find the link on how to buy me a coffee in the show notes below. But don't feel compelled to buy me a coffee. If you go to my Buy Me a Coffee page, you will find many more free materials that I produce for people, such as my about fortnightly podcast, where you can find out about the things I do between the videos, and I'll discuss it on a podcast format. So until the next time, use a journal to stay on the level, stay productive, and plan your life ahead. You'll find it a useful thing to do. Until then, take care, and I will see you again very soon.